What would drive a young woman to pick up an axe and brutally murder her own father and stepmother? Or was she truly innocent? Before we dive into one of America's most chilling mysteries, don't forget to subscribe for more unbelievable true stories. A quiet town. A horrific morning. It was a warm August morning in 1892, in the peaceful town of Fall River, Massachusetts. A place where life moved slowly, where neighbors greeted each other by name, and where nothing truly dark ever seemed to happen. But on the morning of August 4th, that illusion of peace shattered forever. Inside the Borden family home at 92 2nd Street, two people were found brutally murdered: Andrew Borden, a respected local businessman, and his wife, Abby. The weapon? An axe? The brutality? Beyond imagination. Andrew was found slumped on a sofa in the sitting room, his face hacked beyond recognition. Abby's body lay upstairs in the guest room, her skull split open, her blood staining the floorboards. The crime scene was pure horror, and in the center of it all stood one woman, Lizzie Borden, Andrew's 32-year-old daughter, the perfect family that wasn't from the outside. The Borden family seemed wealthy, moral, and religious. Andrew Borden was a successful banker and businessman, known for his strict discipline and frugal lifestyle. But inside the house, tensions simmered like a pot ready to boil over. Lizzie and her older sister Emma were unhappy. They resented their father's decision to remarry after their mother's death. Abby, their stepmother, was never accepted as part of the family. The sisters believed Abby had married Andrew for his money. The house itself was filled with invisible walls. Lizzie and Emma rarely ate with their father and stepmother. They barely spoke to Abby. And when Andrew started giving property to Abby's relatives, Lizzie's anger quietly grew into something much darker. The day of the murders, the day began as any other. At around 7 a.m., the Borden family sat down for breakfast. The maid, Bridget Sullivan, later testified that everyone had been sick for the past few days, perhaps from spoiled mutton stew. After breakfast, Andrew went out for his usual morning errands. Abby went upstairs to tidy the guest room, where her brother-in-law had stayed the night before. At around 9:30 a.m., Abby was attacked. She was struck 19 times in the head and neck with an axe. Moments later, Andrew returned home around 10:45 a.m. The front door was strangely jammed and Bridget had to let him in. Lizzie told her father that her stepmother had gone out. Andrew decided to rest on the sitting room sofa. Within minutes, he too was murdered, his face smashed by 11 blows of a sharp blade. Bridget, who was outside washing windows, heard nothing. Lizzie claimed she was in the barn looking for lead sinkers for fishing. When she returned, she said she found her father's lifeless body and screamed for help. The investigation begins. Within hours, police swarmed the Borden home. Their first impression of Lizzie was strange. She appeared calm. Too calm for someone who had just discovered 2 hacked corpses in her house. When questioned, her answers were inconsistent. First, she said she was in the barn during the murders. Later, she said she was in the kitchen. Her stories kept changing. The police found no signs of forced entry. No robbery. Nothing was missing. Whoever committed these murders had to be someone inside the house. And then came the most suspicious detail of all: Lizzie's dress. A few days after the murders, one of Lizzie's friends saw her burn a dress in the kitchen stove. When asked why, Lizzie said it was stained with paint. But many wondered, was it paint or blood? Motive and mystery. The investigators began piecing together the puzzle. Lizzie stood to gain a massive inheritance, her father's wealth and property. Combined with her deep resentment toward Abby, the motive seemed painfully clear. But there were problems with the case. The police never found the actual murder weapon. They discovered a hatchet in the basement, but it was clean and slightly damaged, as if someone had tried to disguise it. Also, there was no physical evidence directly linking Lizzie to the crime. This was the 1890s. No fingerprints, no DNA tests, no modern forensics. Everything depended on witness testimony and suspicion. Still, the pressure grew. Newspapers across the country painted Lizzie as a cold-blooded killer. Songs were written and rumors spread like wildfire. The public was divided. Half believed in her innocence, half saw her as a monster. The trial of the century in June 1893, Lizzie Borden was put on trial for the murders of her father and stepmother. The courtroom was packed. Reporters, photographers, curious townsfolk, all waiting to see whether this quiet, church-going woman could really be a murderer. The prosecution argued that Lizzie's hatred of her stepmother, combined with her desire for money, led her to commit the crime. They highlighted her inconsistent statements, the burned dress, and the lack of any other suspects, but the defense fought back hard. They emphasized the absence of bloodstains on Lizzie's clothes. They argued that the murders were committed by someone with great strength, far more than Lizzie possessed. They also suggested that Bridget, the maid, could have been responsible. Then came the dramatic moment when the skulls of Andrew and Abby Borden were presented in court. When Lizzie saw them, she fainted, a moment that captivated the nation. After weeks of testimony and media frenzy, the jury deliberated for just 90 minutes. Their verdict? Not guilty. Lizzie Borden was acquitted of all charges. Life after the trial, despite being free, Lizzie's life was never the same again. The town of Fall River turned against her. People whispered when she passed by. Children chanted the now infamous rhyme, "Lizzie Borden took an axe and gave her mother 40 whacks." When she saw what she had done, she gave her father 41. It didn't matter that she had been acquitted. The court of public opinion had already found her guilty. Lizzie and her sister Emma moved into a new house, which they named Maplecroft, in a more fashionable neighborhood. Lizzie began using the name Lisbeth A. Borden and tried to live quietly. Yet scandals followed her. In 1905, Emma left the house suddenly and never spoke to Lizzie again. The reasons remain a mystery. Lizzie lived the rest of her life in isolation. She died in 1927, at the age of 66. In death as in life, she remained surrounded by questions. Unanswered questions to this day. Historians and crime experts still debate what really happened inside the Borden home. Was Lizzie truly the killer? Or was she an innocent woman trapped in a web of circumstantial evidence? Some believe Lizzie had help, perhaps from Bridget the maid, or even her sister Emma. Others think the killer could have been a stranger, someone who slipped away unnoticed. But if that's true, why were there no signs of forced entry? Why did Lizzie burn her dress? And how could she appear so calm after discovering such horror? Each theory raises more questions than it answers. That's what makes this story so haunting. It's not just about the murders, but about the silence that followed them. Legacy of a legend over 130 years later, Lizzie Borden's name still echoes in American culture. Her story has inspired books, movies, songs, and endless debates. The Borden house in Fall River has become a museum and a bed and breakfast. Yes, you can actually spend a night there if you dare. Visitors claim to hear footsteps, whispers, and even see ghostly figures in the rooms where the murders occurred. Whether it's real or imagination, the house still carries the dark energy of that August morning. Lizzie Borden may have been acquitted, but the shadow of suspicion never left her. Her face, calm yet unsettling, continues to haunt America's true crime history. So what do you think? Was Lizzie Borden a cold-blooded murderer who fooled everyone, or a victim of circumstance, punished for being a woman who didn't fit society's mold? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you love uncovering mysterious and chilling stories from history, make sure to subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications, because many more dark secrets from the past are waiting to be revealed. Sometimes, the scariest part of history is not the crime itself, but the truth we may never know.